Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why it is so hard to care about people we don't know, like those living far away or facing problems we can't see? Well, this new study explores how we can actually learn to care more about distant others. Imagine this. You have a limited amount of time or money. Who do you help? Instinctively, we tend to help the people closest to us, our family, our friends, our community. And that is totally normal. But this also means that millions of people who need help the most, like those living in poverty in far-off countries or facing discrimination, often get left behind. Scientists call this parochial altruism, which is basically being really nice to your in-group, but not so much to outsiders. This leads to some pretty unfair situations where resources and help don't go where they're needed most. So the big question researchers asked was, can we actually train ourselves or others to care more about these distant people, the ones we don't see or know personally? Previous attempts to reduce prejudice have often focused on things like intergroup contact, which means bringing different groups together, or perspective taking, where you try to imagine yourself in someone else's shoes. These can help a bit, but their effects are often small, don't last very long, and sometimes they only make you care more about one specific group, potentially even at the expense of others. This new research proposes a different approach. Instead of just trying to change how we feel about an outgroup, they wanted to see if we can learn to make better decisions that consider distant others more. They developed something called systematic moral reflection, or SMR. Think of SMR like this. You make a decision, maybe in a situation where you have to choose between helping yourself or your family and helping some strangers far away. After you make that decision and see what happens, SMR guides you through a series of questions. These questions help you really think about how your decision affected everyone involved, especially those distant people. They ask you to consider how you made the decision, if you could have done better, and what lesson you can learn for the future. It is like a guided debrief for your moral choices. So, how did they test this? In experiment 1, participants were put in a situation where they had to decide how much of their free time to volunteer. They could either help an organization feeding people in need or spend that time with their family. After they made their first decision, half the participants went through the SMR process, reflecting on their choice. Then, everyone made a second, similar decision. What they found was pretty interesting. People who went through the SMR reflection actually volunteered more hours in their second decision compared to those who didn't. It was a statistically significant difference, meaning it wasn't just a fluke. And when they looked at what lessons people learned, the most common ones were about prioritizing the greater good, or making decisions more carefully, and putting others' welfare above their own. It seems like reflecting on past decisions helped people learn to be more considerate. But did this learning stick, and did it only apply to the exact same situation? In experiment 2, they tested if the effects of SMR would transfer. Participants first made a volunteering decision. And then, after the SMR intervention, they made a donation decision to help a different group of people, like sick children. Again, the SMR group showed increased prosocial behavior. They donated more money to the children's hospital than the control group. This showed that the learning wasn't just about volunteering. It could transfer to other types of decisions, and even to different groups of people. The real test came in experiment 3. Here they compared SMR to 2 well-established interventions: empathy induction and perspective taking. And they used real money donations to help transgender individuals and immigrants, groups that often face stigma. They also checked how long these effects lasted, measuring behavior a week later. And here is where it gets really compelling. SMR actually performed better than empathy induction and perspective taking when it came to motivating people to donate their own money to help transgender people. It increased costly helping more effectively. Even more impressively, many of these positive effects, like increased willingness to interact and reduce dehumanization, lasted for at least a week. This suggests that SMR isn't just a temporary mood boost. It is teaching a more lasting way of thinking and deciding. So what is the big takeaway? The researchers found that systematic moral reflection helped people learn to make decisions more deliberately and give more weight to the welfare of distant others. It seems to work by teaching us how to decide better, rather than just telling us what to believe or feel. This is different from traditional prejudice reduction methods. Instead of trying to change our feelings about a group, SMR focuses on improving our decision-making process. It encourages us to look beyond our immediate circle and consider the impact of our choices on those we don't know. Now, no study is perfect. The researchers themselves point out some limitations. They mention that the mechanisms behind the change are inferred, not directly proven, and that some outcomes were measured with single questions. Also, the effects, while significant, were often small to moderate. And importantly, whether SMR works in different cultures or for different kinds of conflicts is still unknown. Despite these limitations, the findings are really promising. They suggest that learning from our past moral decisions can be a powerful way to expand our circle of care. Imagine if this kind of reflection could be used in schools or workplaces to encourage more empathy and fairness. The researchers even suggest that conversational AI could potentially help deliver this kind of intervention at a larger scale. So, while we still have a lot to learn, this research offers a hopeful path toward a world where we consider everyone's well-being, not just our own or those close to us. It is a reminder that we can actively learn to be more caring and make better decisions that benefit more people. What do you think about this idea of learning to care more? Does it resonate with you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more explorations into the fascinating world of psychology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.